To discuss the effects of border closures on Queensland and its economy, I'm joined by the federal member for Bowman, Mr Andrew Laming from Brisbane. Andrew, what is your assessment of the damage that is potentially being done by these closures at such short notice, with presumably cancellation fees involved and so on, especially on the tourism sector?
There'll be a huge economic impact, but Queenslanders are absolutely on the side of playing it safe here. They've written off 2020. They know it's going to cost a lot, and they just want to see no disease in this state. Now, some credit to the Labor Premier. There's been discussion about when and how you close, and this red zoning of a particular part of affected New South Wales is exactly the right way to do it. But for those that can prove that they haven't been in those areas, there will be a continued ability to get a declaration online and pass through the border. So for those that are in these red zoned areas, it's absolutely appropriate to shut down immediately. We do now have a Commonwealth definition for a red zone. And let's be honest, we're just lucky that we haven't had a case in Queensland already out of northern New South Wales. We do need to close these borders. Other states will be doing the same. We've always wanted fast, hard action. I've always been a bit critical that states were super slow to reopen afterwards. And that's where the true economic damage is done, because waiting 28 days when there's a case in Sydney is way longer than the incubation period of the virus by a factor of 4. But that's the number that's been chosen, and it's the Premier's writing the rules at the moment.
Andrew, are you talking to people from the tourism sector in particular? I saw some statistics today showing that there'd been a fall in employment in the order of 113,000 since the pandemic commenced, and that the remaining jobs are now going, there's a shift from full-time work to casual work. Not unexpected, but I would have thought the union base upon which Premier Palaszczuk relies would have had something to say about that. Anyone from the tourism sector making a noise to you or asking for federal action on their behalf?
There's not. The virus trumps everything. We saw that in the state election where no Labor MPs lost their seats. People just want to see control. They want to see the border between them and the virus effectively. And look, I've got family members that run large strata titled accommodation on the coast, and they're gutted, cancellations. It's an unmitigated disaster, let's be completely honest. The Queensland, and as the Australian economy, is now a tale of two different sectors. You've got anyone associated with tourism, hospitality, residential and large events. These sectors are gutted, and we can't see a way through this. We cannot say it'll be better in 12 months' time. We can't say that other nations are going to get their vaccination programs done in time. Vaccination doesn't make you safe to travel anytime soon, and we know that countries like America have such limited public health, they're almost going to have to pay their citizenry and many of their illegal alien population simply to get treated. So you won't be able to travel anytime soon. And so this is a cataclysmic outcome for travel, more immediately for accommodation in Queensland. But I tell you what, everyone is backing Premiers being tough. As I've said, you need to be precautionary principle and evidence going in, but on the way out, we need to be following the science and not locking down entire states for weeks on end, because that kind of punishment of New South Wales was a bit hard to justify 2 months ago.
What's your sense about the federal electoral prospects up there? I know she did win resoundingly, Premier Palaszczuk, in October, but you're right in that band of seats that the Quiet Australians spoke loudly in May 2019. How are you feeling about your prospects? Are you feeling sort of pressured to toe the line set by the Queensland state government, or are you able to maintain a fairly independent voice on this?
You're spot on about the political implications. We've had local government elections where every incumbent was returned. So we know in general Australians in a period of crisis, they're not brooking irrelevant conversations. They're not having political debates about daylight saving and euthanasia. They've written this year off. They just want to get through it. They're keeping the government they've got. Now, that doesn't extend forever, Catherine. We know that 6 to 12 months after a crisis, most governments in Australian political history get tipped out. And so that is a real concern for a federal government facing an election over 12 months away. They won't, as many states have done, be able to use COVID as a cover for re-election. So we've got to absolutely have our ducks in a row. But so far, I think the Prime Minister's doing that, and he'll be watching in Queensland where there's simply no tolerance for a soft approach. There's no dissenting voice with the Premier at the moment. There was with the double standards through August, where they were selectively allowing the movie stars and the super yachts to come into Queensland. But that's all now changed. And we're basically seeing everyone's happy to lock it down. It's tragic we're not seeing our friends and family over Christmas. But this does have quite concerning portents for the economy because the 28-day period is a long one. But let me just finish by saying the encouraging news over the last 2 days that the positives they're finding are existing contacts. That means that they're cases of known origin, and that's the best kind of COVID case you can have. And it's really great job by New South Wales if, in fact, they've done that within 10 days of this outbreak.